Something I think would be super interesting. We touched on it earlier, the toe paddle thing. People probably don't, or maybe they do, but to differentiate, like, what is toe and what is paddle, and like what makes the toe and what makes the paddle, and
what's embarrassing?
Yeah, and it's not necessarily that we're against toe, right? We're not against toe surfing in general. It's not a paddle. It's paddle for life or never toe. It's toe waves that have to be towed.
Yeah.
Paddle waves that can be paddled or you think can be paddled.
Exactly.
That's the difference. When it comes to the argument, it's not us hating guys on jet skis getting whipped in. They can do that at the waves that are that heavy that you cannot paddle them. It's guys getting whipped into waves that you can paddle.
Yeah.
Because that's not going to be that guy's wave of his life. But it could potentially be a guy paddling his wave of his life.
Yeah.
You know, because the drop is 50% of it. And it's just that much heavier to paddle in with your own two arms. Like, the scale is a lot. It takes a lot less to get your wave of your life like that than it does towing in. Because you can tow into something that's potentially very, very, very difficult. And if not impossible, which it should be. Impossible to paddle should be what guys are towing.
Yeah. Well, if guys, so like we're kind of talking about Tahiti, our last trip. If guys are towing all like the you think paddleable waves, like you can't progress the paddle surfing. Like the Groms over there, if there's a bomb that they might have whipped it on, but somebody's whipping in from the point, like they're not going to go, clearly, especially if you see a jet ski coming down the line. Like maybe he would have went and made it on a wave that's never been like thought paddleable.
That's it. It comes down to your focus. Like when you get into that mindset of let's push the limit and paddle something or do something that's never been done before, you need so much intent and willpower to swing on that huge one.
Yeah.
Just anything giving you the excuse to not to, your body's just gonna instinctively take it because you don't want to risk your life. But that's what we do, right? We overpower the thought of that little thing saying, "Don't do it, don't risk it," and we're like, "Fuck it, I'm going, I'm gonna make it."
Yeah.
I've watched you guys do that.
It's like
huge shows.
You can't focus. It'll snap you out of that focus when someone's just like, oh, like.
Yeah, my mindset's like, if I don't go, Nate's gonna go. I can't have that.
That friendly
or
rivalry.
Eli.
I've watched these guys push the limits and get the best, in my opinion, the best paddle waves ever ridden at Big Teahupoo.
I think Nate, that Chopes wave you got, we can put it in here. Was that in 2018 or 16?
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about?
2015 or 2016, I think.
That has to be still to this day one of the gnarliest paddle waves out of any size wave. Because like from Jaws to
start to finish, that thing was just like
to outer reefs to anything.
It was psycho.
That in my book, I think is still the gnarliest wave ever paddled, especially if you've been to Teahupoo and you know how gnarly that wave is.
Yeah.
So like if say that session we're all out there, Nate gets this crazy wave, we'll play it. But if someone was whipping down the line on that wave, like you wouldn't have gone.
No chance. I would have looked back and been like, "Thank you for the excuse to not go."
Yeah,
because like I was terrified to go. But then sessions, that's a perfect example because sessions like that, nobody's whipping, and there was a ton of waves that day that were just mind bending right on the verge.
Yeah,
and we were just like maybe, and so we got to escalate the session to that level.
Yeah,
I saw the same thing last year when Ballram and Emil Matai paddled some like really, really heavy waves. Nobody towing, but there was waves coming through that were just right on the border of the biggest I've seen, and so the session can escalate into that.
Yeah,
with it's just.
But that's where like you set the bar even higher. Like that was still like people look at them and be like, oh, I wonder if we can do better. You know, like Groms over there now are sending it. They're so probably because they've seen that wave and they're like, oh, it is possible. Whereas before, like we'd look at them and be like, no,
impossible.
Maybe not possible, but it just takes one person to be like, no, it's possible.
That's the best thing with surfing is like we've all done so much. Like humans have pushed it so hard, but we're just barely tapping in. Like every time anyone's ever said not possible in surf, 2 or 3, 5 years down the line, it's the regular. The young kids start getting raised on that being totally possible. Then they push it to a new level, and then the younger kids see that, and that's the new normal. And like,
imagine where Jaws is going to be in 10 more years, where the paddle is remember when we were Groms, I didn't know if I was ever going to make it to Mavericks or if I was ever going to surf Jaws. And then fast forward some years, our first session ever is paddling Jaws. And I'm like, sitting out there, I'm like, we're paddling Jaws. And I grew up wondering if I'd ever even surf there.
Yeah.
And yeah, like you guys have a really good point. Like if people don't push the limits like that, it's just that's how it just continues to grow. And we wanted to tow. We all brought tow boards over there. And that's the thing. We're not knocking towing at all. We love it. We just
no. There's a time and a place for it.
I wanted it to be 100 foot and just to tow. Me and Koa were gonna team up, and I was just like, Koa, I'm gonna whip you on a fucking monster.
Yeah, no.
I was like remember I was like, we're going to war. Like with all the tow teams, I was like, we're in it.
Like it would have been fine to tow if people weren't paddling. Like say no one wanted to paddle, none of the local guys were out there trying to send it, or like us even. Like then go ahead. Tow.
Have a great time.
Or go somewhere else and tow if you want to tow. And there was a lot of foreigners. Like I understand, like locals, it's their spot. Like they want to tow.
The locals towed big ones.
The locals
they were on
bombs.
really big waves. You know, I didn't see any of the locals on those ones we're talking about. It was guys that flew in and towed literal waves that some of the waves not even the paddle crowd looked at.
Yeah.
You're like,
yeah, you can go watch our most recent, mine and Nate's most recent Tahiti videos.
Nice highlight in there.
It was insane.
I put all the tiny tow waves, and then I put the local boys paddling bigger waves than every tow wave.
I love how you put it back to back.
Straight in, like the music dropped on the youngest kid there. He's 16 years old. Gilbert.
He's the real deal.
He's so gnarly. Going on, paddling some of the biggest waves, and he's paddling bigger waves than guys are towing.
Oh yeah,
it's just like, dude, imagine the shame.
Embarrassing.
I would feel like fall on the sword. Like I'm done.
Yeah, no, me and Eli
write me off. I just towed a 6-footer.
I'd be like, please, everyone, delete their footage. Oh shit, it's live on Surfline. I'm done.
I'm exposed.
Dude, me and Koa pulled up on the ski, so excited,
ready to tow. We had all our boards, rope, everything,
I had
ski
my
ready.
vest on, just sweating, sunscreen just melting off, and we took one look at the sets. And we're like, Nate's already, right when we pulled up, you were like paddling. And I'm like, Nate's going. You jumped on a gnarly one.
Yeah.
And right then we're just like, oh, it's just not tow.
No.
So we just were like, okay, let's drop our tow boards out, grab our paddle gear. And then next thing you know, guys were whipping past us all day. And it was frustrating. I was just like.
I came in because I was like, that
was the shortest session we've ever had ever. Normally we're just so cooked, pushing ourselves so hard all day. And we all got a couple waves, and we're just like, these guys are just whipping past us.
I was done, bro. I sat on the boat.
I was cooked.
I was getting slightly frustrated.
Whatever. Have it.